Okay, in this section we're talking about the hinge theorem and the converse of the hinge theorem. There are actually alternate names for these. The hinge theorem is actually what I call the side angle side triangle inequality theorem, and the converse of the hinge theorem is called the side triangle inequality theorem. And the reason, I'll show you why. For example, we're looking at the converse of the hinge theorem, which again I call the side triangle inequality theorem. And the reason why I call it this is because what we're doing is we're looking at these two triangles in terms of what's equal and what's not equal. So if we look, TS and PR are congruent, PS is congruent to PS, but these two sides are not equal. Therefore, we know PT is greater than RS, and since that's true, we know that angle, let's see, this angle right here, PST, is going to be greater than this angle right here, which is angle SPR. And the reason for that is going back to the last section when we talked about big sides being opposite big angles, small angles being opposite, big angles being opposite big sides and small angles being opposite small sides. If the top and the bottom are congruent and this middle part are congruent, but these sides right here aren't congruent, hence the side, then we know that since this third side is bigger than this third side, we know that the angles will share that same relationship where angle PST is bigger than angle SPR. And again, we know that ST is bigger than PR, and we know ST and PR are congruent, PS and PS are congruent, but 24 inches is bigger than 23 inches. Therefore, so therefore, since PT is opposite PST, it's going to be bigger than RS, which is bigger than opposite SPR. Alright, now we have two bikers leave the same camp heading in opposite directions. Each group goes 2 miles, then changes direction and goes as 1.2 miles. Group A starts due east and then turns 45 degrees towards the north. Group B starts due west and turns 30 degrees towards the south. So let's take a look at that. Which group is farther from the camp? Alright. So here's a picture of what's going on. We've got 2 miles this way, 2 miles this way. We've got 30 degrees south and 45 degrees north. Since this is 30 degrees, this is 150. Since this is 45, this is 135. And we went 1.2 miles here, 1.2 miles here. We want to know which is longer, the distance from here to here, or the distance from here to here. So this is going to be the hinge theorem, or side angle side triangle inequality theorem. What they call the hinge theorem, I call side angle side. So we know that these two sides are equal and those two sides are equal, but the angles are different. 150 is bigger than 135. Therefore, since 150 is the bigger one, we can say that the distance that group B has traveled is longer than the distance that group A traveled. Therefore, group B traveled further. Because, again, 150 is bigger than 135. Alright. Now we've got another one. We've got PR and PS congruent. We've got angle QPR is bigger than QPS. So we also know that PQ is congruent to PQ. And if we look, QPR is this angle right here. QPS is this angle right here. So this is our hinge theorem, or side angle side theorem. Since we know these two sides are congruent to those two sides, this angle is bigger, so therefore QR, or RQ in this case, is going to be bigger than SQ. Okay? And then we've got PR and PS congruent. We've got RQ is less than SQ. So here's RQ less than SQ. Again, we know PQ is congruent to itself. We know RQ is less, therefore QS is the bigger one, QR is the smaller one. So of the two angles, since QS is bigger, because RQ is smaller, we can say that SPQ is going to be, or SPQ is going to be bigger than RPQ. So we would say angle SPQ, and it should be measure, sorry, of SPQ is bigger than the measure of angle RPQ. And again, SPQ is bigger. And in this other one, it says group C goes 2 miles north, then they turn and go 40 degrees east and continue 1.2 miles. For that one, let's take a look at what that would look like. So we would have, give me a sec here, for group C, we'd have them going 2 miles north and then 1.2 miles east, except, yeah, I went east, okay. So here's our 2 miles, and here's our 1.2 miles. And if they went 40 degrees east, that means that this is 40 degrees, and this is 140. Or if you recall, group B, this angle was 150, and for group A, it was 135. So group C would be in between the 140 and the 135. So therefore group C should be in between. So B was the furthest, then C, then A. And that's it. Thanks.